Okay, guys, I'm very bad about forgetting to record the live lesson, so I just pushed record on the live lesson. We're fixing to get started on subject verb agreement. Just finished up the bell ringer. So this is the part that actually needs to be recorded anyway. Um, while I'm talking, if you will, I need you to find a notebook or at least some scratch paper. Now, needless to say, you're not going to turn this paper in, but we're going to kind of go old school a little bit in that I'm going to get you to take a couple of notes today. Okay. So go ahead and get a paper and a pen or pencil, something to write down with, something to take a couple of notes on, be able to do a little bit of work on. As I'm pulling up this little PowerPoint, go ahead and get that together. Okay. When you have your paper and pen ready to write down, if you will, inside the chat, type in your favorite color. Once you have your paper and pen ready to go, type in your favorite color. That lets me know that you're ready to go. Perfect. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. Let's just be real blunt honest. It's easy or easier to do um, literature, reading and comprehending type stuff online than what it is to do the grammar stuff. I was really kind of wondering how in the world am I going to do subject verb agreement with all of my students online, because this is one of those assignments that I usually am able to look at folks' face and see whether or not they get it or if they don't. Okay. So we're going to do our best, and we're probably going to get a little bit frustrated, and that'll just have to do for right now. Okay. All right. This PowerPoint right here is usually inside of my classroom what I introduce subject verb agreement to my class. Now, some of the stuff that we're going to do today is going back old school, probably all the way back to first grade for y'all. Some of it's going to be very simple. Some of the questions I ask are going to be like, why is he even asking this elementary stuff? And some of it's going to be a little bit more advanced. This is not one of those lessons that you can be on Fortnite and listen to me at the same time and get anything out of it. I need your attention today, okay? So pay attention. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you a minute. There are 5 sentences right here. Every one of these 5 sentences is grammatically incorrect. Each one of these 5 sentences can be corrected by changing one word. It can be corrected by changing one word and one word only. Now, we are going to keep it in present tense. We're not going to change it by adding an ed to a verb, okay? We're not going to take it past tense. We've got to stay in present tense. So what I want you to do is take a minute, and all I need you to do is write down on your piece of paper, on your scratch paper, I'll need you to write down the one word that you're going to change and what you're going to change it to, okay? Go ahead and get started. When you finish with all 5 of them, please, 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 please put in your favorite sport inside the chat. When you're finished writing down these 5 words, please put your favorite sport inside of the chat. What position you play, Olivia? Ah, the hot corner, huh? Really, Jake? Man, you live in the South. What you doing like in hockey?
It's pretty popular in Pensacola.
That's right. They have the minor
The
league
Ice
team over there,
Flyers.
don't
Ice Flyers.
they? Gotcha.
I have the signed
I have
hockey
some
puck.
friends who go over there a couple of times a year to see a I guess a game. I guess that's what you call a hockey
I
get together.
mainly watch it for the fights, though.
Yeah,
I'm, I'm
I've
not
heard
gonna
that
lie.
before as well.
I'm not gonna
I've
lie.
seen one game live way back when Mobile had a minor league team,
Oh
and
yeah,
I couldn't follow the puck.
yeah. Birmingham has a team.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Boys.
All right. Let's see. Damien's a football fan. Let's see. Somebody's a volleyball fan. Beck is a volleyball fan. Okay, I got four people finished. All right, guys, come on, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. I'm gonna give you about another 30 seconds, and I'm gonna be ready to move on. Okay. What's the lowest you've ever shot, Gage? You know what? That ain't bad to be as young as what you are, though. Way back in my younger days, I could shoot in the low 80s, but I haven't picked up a club in probably 10 years. All right, guys. All right, I'm gonna move on. Okay, look at this first one. The boys walks to the store. Now, before I ask you what word that you changed, here's what I'm going to ask you. What is the subject, the simple subject, the one word simple subject of the sentence? Who or what are we talking about? Boys. Boys. Okay. The boys is the subject. What is my verb? All right. Someone break it down, subject verb agreement, boys walks. Okay, what word did you change? And what did you change your word to? Let me put it like that. Good. Good. Good, 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 good. Good answers. That's exactly what I wanted. Fourth grade stuff, right? And that's what one of my kids told me yesterday. This is fourth grade stuff. That one right there. Real easy, right? If they were all that easy, there'd be no reason. You could also change boys, yes. If they were all that easy, there'd be no reason to spend a whole lot of time on this, right? But that's the simple one. That's the easy one, getting us back into the swing of things. Very good. I can either change boys to boy or walks to walk. Walks to walk. Either way. Okay. Very good. The second one, let's just get right into it. What word do you change and what do you change it to? Very good. Very good. 2 for 2. Out of curiosity, on that second one, what is my subject? Who or what are we talking about? And by the way, it's not a one word subject here because it's a compound subject. Good, Gage. Good. Good, 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 good. All right, now we get into a tricky one on the third one. What is my subject in the third sentence? I need more than one person. What's my subject in the third sentence? I need more than 2 people. What is my subject in the third sentence? All right, let me ask you a question, guys. Why is the word mornings not the subject inside the third sentence? By the way, I agree with all of y'all. Squirrel is my subject. Why is mornings not the subject? If you don't know, put your favorite number. You know, Rebecca, that's not a bad answer. It's not the one I'm looking for, but that's not a bad answer. Jake, it is, mornings is a noun. Gage, very good. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I'm looking for. And guys, that's part of being in here right now instead of being inside of my classroom, for me to be able to do things. Okay. This in the mornings, real quick. Guys, this is a prepositional phrase. Now, we're going to get into prepositions and prepositional phrases here in just a few minutes. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it now, other than to say this. When you're doing subject verb agreement, you have to recognize prepositional phrases, because you will never, ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever, 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 never, 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 ever, ever, never, 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 ever, ever find the subject or the verb inside of a prepositional phrase. Okay? Never, ever. Rebecca, hey, there's no, Rebecca, you say you learned that in 6th grade. Here's the thing, and I want everybody to understand this. I am not the first nor the last teacher who is going to teach you subject verb agreement. I'm probably not the best teacher, although I'm probably pretty close. I'm just picking. I am not, guys, let me throw all jokes aside. Let me say it like this. The way that I teach subject verb agreement works, but it's not the only way that it works. If you have had a teacher in the past who the way that he or she taught subject verb agreement really made sense, I am okay with you leaning on that, but I need you to learn my method as well. Okay? I know my method works, and my method is what you're being graded on pretty much. So make sure that you and I are on the same page, if that makes sense. Okay? Okay. Never find the subject or the verb inside of a prepositional phrase. If I see a prepositional phrase, I am going to scratch through it. That's basically what I did with the highlighting there. That leaves a sentence right here to be: a squirrel find an acorn. What word will I change? Engage already put it in define defines. Good. I'm good with all of that. Okay. Now, here's probably the trickiest of the 5 here. Each of the students think, and then I've got my chat box, he or she has the right stuff. What one word will I change? Come on, more than one person. This, if you're paying attention to the chat, guys, this is the best example of why we go through a process of subject verb agreement. I've got 3 different answers from 3 different students. Okay. Not picking on anybody at this point in time. This is just an introduction. But let me show you this real quick, okay? Of the students is a prepositional phrase. So my subject nor my verb will be found in my prepositional phrase. That leaves the word each to be my subject and think to be my verb. Now, how many of you, when you first read this one, thought, man, that kind of sounds good the way it is? The reason I ask that is, engage, some people it does, some people it doesn't. The reason I ask that is simply this. In today's culture, we speak with enough slang and we speak with enough improper English that you cannot always trust your ears. Okay? What I want you to be able to do inside of my class is to go through the process to find the subject and find the verb and make sure they agree. not because they sound correct, but because they are correct. Okay? How many of y'all before in years past, when you took a subject verb agreement test, basically just went with the answer that sounded correct? Anybody in here guilty of that? Guys, I just about be willing to bet in subject verb agreement in the past, if you were trusting your ears and your ears only, you probably made around that 50 or 60 on the test. Does that sound about right? My goal is simply this. My goal is to teach you a process that you can do on any sentence and be comfortable with the answer. And when I do this process, you're going to see that I don't trust my ears until I have it down to 2 words. And I'll get to this on the next slide. For the time being, trust me when I say this. Each is an indefinite pronoun that is always singular. But even when I break it down to that, each think or each thinks, neither one of them necessarily sound better than the other. Now, remember this one because we're going to come back to this one. The correct answer is change think to thinks. Somebody, I don't even remember who, said that earlier, and that was right. Okay? We're going to come back to this sentence, okay? Y'all just bear with me. On the last one kind of gets back to 4th grade. What word are we changing and what are we changing it to? Are to is, and I want you to remember those 2 words, okay? Rebecca, remember those 2 words here in just a few minutes, okay? All right. Let's go back to 1st grade / 4th grade for here for just a second. You were taught early on that nouns are singular if they do not end in S, and to make them plural, you just simply add an S on the end of it, right? Give me a yep if that's what you were taught. The reason you were taught that is because that's the way that it actually is for nouns, okay? I have one boy, more than one boys. One girl, more than one girls. One desk, more than one desks. Shirt, more than one shirts. One baby, more than one babies. All I did was add an S to these nouns to make them plural. Singular, plural. Everybody knows that singular is one, plural is more than one. Nothing new there, right? Here's kind of the twist to that. Verbs are the exact opposite. Singular verbs have an S and plural verbs do not. Okay? Boy walks. Boys walk. Girl runs. Girls run. Desk creaks. Desks creak. Shirt wrinkles. Shirts wrinkle. So forth and so on. We could do that all day long, right? Verbs are the exact opposite of nouns. Singular verbs end in S. Plural verbs do not. Now, here's the thing about subject-verb agreement. This is like the thing that you have to remember. A singular subject always goes with a singular verb. A plural subject always goes with a plural verb. Okay? Give me a yep if you understand that. Okay. I'm gonna move on real quick. Well, let me tell you my kind of rule of 1S. Now, y'all know I have a sports background, right? This is the way that I usually teach the singular with singular, plural with plural. Think about playing a basketball game or playing a football game. If your team has the basketball, then the other team doesn't. You're on offense, they're on defense. Only one of you has the ball. Same way with football. If your team has the ball, the other team does not. Okay? Now, Rule of 1S. If the subject does not have an S, the verb does. If the subject does have an S, the verb does not. That's the rule of 1S. And if it were all of it was that simple, this would be the shortest lesson ever, right? Give me a yep if you understand the rule of 1S. Good deal. Then moving on. What we are going to try to do, guys, is get down to one simple subject and one simple predicate or simple verb. Okay? Let me let somebody in the meeting real quick. Whoop, they're gone. They gone. Okay. Now, I like mnemonics. I like things that help me to remember stuff. Okay. My mnemonic for language, for subject verb agreement is the F's. If I am trying to find subject verb agreement, the first thing I'm going to do when I look at my sentence is I am going to eliminate the phrases. After I eliminate the phrases, I am going to find my simple subject, hopefully one word, unless it's a compound subject. And then I'm going to find the verb. Even if I have a verb phrase, there's only one verb that's going to change due to the subject. Okay? And the last thing I'm going to be able to do is substitute the subject with either he, she, it, or they, depending on whether I need to for it to make sense to my ears. And I'm going to get into all of that. I just need you to know that this is my process. This process is there in this PowerPoint for you to see it always. Okay. And we're going to come back to that. But kind of trust me, we got to move away for just a second. Okay. Now let me do this. Can y'all see my camera? Actually, I think I need to stop sharing it to where you can make it big. There's a way, guys, and y'all know I don't know a whole lot about the WebEx and stuff. There's a way that you can make my camera big for you to be able to see, because I'm fixing to go old school, okay? What is the definition of a noun? What is the definition of a noun? Y'all are 75% right. Person, place, thing, or idea. And this idea is what most 8th grade students struggle with. See, the person, place, or thing they're known as concrete nouns. They're things that you can put your hand on. They're things that you can touch. Person, girl. Well, you can touch a girl. Be careful with that, though. Place, Alabama. School, my front yard. I can touch those. Thing, desk, stick, pencil, paper. I can put my hand on those. Those are easy. It's the ideas that sometimes kids struggle with. Let me ask you this word right here. Responsibility. Is that word a noun? Are you sure? See, here's the thing. I love no, I'm not sure, but I think it is a noun. It is a noun, Rebecca. And I'm not trying to get you to question yourself. I'm just making sure that you're sure of it. Let me tell you the best way to tell somebody if something is a noun or not. Can I put this word in front of it? Can I put the word the in front of it? If I can put the word the in front of it, it is a noun. Okay? The is an adjective. The is the most common word in the English language. We use it more than we use any other word. Okay? If I can put the in front of it, it is a noun. Now understand when I say if I can put it in front of it, if I say the pretty girl, I'm actually talking about the girl, not the pretty. Okay? So you can have adjectives between the and the noun that it's describing. But what I'm asking is the what? In this case, the responsibility. The responsibility that I have as a teacher is to teach you. The responsibility that you have as students is to learn. The responsibility of the girl is to take out the garbage. The responsibility. It is a noun. Okay? Any questions on that? Give me a yep if you understand. All right, if you understand, answer this question. What word can I put in front of a noun to know that it is a noun? Very good. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. And I'm gonna tie this all together here in just a second. What is a pronoun? Can anybody tell me the definition of a pronoun? In a roundabout way, Rebecca, but that's not the definition that I'm going to use, okay? Here's the definition that I like. A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. Let me give you an example. Mr. Booth is glad that Mr. Booth doesn't have to say Mr. Booth every time Mr. Booth is referring to Mr. Booth. When Mr. Booth is referring to Mr. Booth gets to call Mr. Booth I, or me, or myself. Does that make sense to everybody? We have some very common pronouns that y'all have seen before. Y'all have seen this kind of little matrix before? That's first person, second person, and third person. All of these words right here, all of these words right here are what we call personal pronouns. Now, personal pronouns are the most common forms of pronouns. Okay? And I'm going to come back to them in just a minute. Now, the reason that I need you to know what nouns are and what pronouns are is because nouns and pronouns are always the subjects of sentences. Now, you can get into some advanced grammar and you can have different types of phrases or clauses serving as the subject of the sentence themselves. We're not going there. That's a little bit more advanced than what we're going to get into. Okay? Subjects are either nouns or pronouns. Okay? Give me a yep if you understand that. Good. Now, the other part of subject-verb agreement is the verb. Okay? So that leads me to this. What is the definition of a verb? You are half right, Rebecca. It is an action or state of being word. Guys, let me know. I'm holding a camera on this sheet of paper while I write on it, and y'all can tell I'm holding it because I'm jiggling all over the place. If I start writing something that y'all can't see, let me know. Okay? Please. You won't offend me if you do that. Okay? So every year inside of class, if I'm actually in this brick and mortar building, I pull out a dollar bill out of my pocket at this point in time. And I ask one very simple question, and most of the time I put the dollar back in my pocket because nobody's able to answer. What is the most common verb in the English language? What is the most common verb in the English language? No. Good guess, Gage. Thank you for guessing. Come on, give me a guess, guys. I'll owe you $1 when you get back. And don't you dare Google it. Where is actually an adverb? The most common verb in the English language. Talk, think, both great guesses, but no. Not action either, no. I just typed it in for you. Now, how many people just read the word be and said, this man has lost his mind? That is not the most common word. That is not the most common verb. Can I prove it to you? Well, Ellis, I did not see that you said to be. Ellis, don't lie to me. Did you Google it? All right. All right. So go back up to our little matrix right here. Okay. That's first person, second person, third person, singular and plural, right? I would not say I be hungry. I would say I am hungry. I would not say you be hungry. I would say you are hungry. I would not say he be hungry. I would say he is hungry. If I want to go a step further, I would not say yesterday I be hungry. I'd say yesterday I was hungry. And I kind of ran out of space here. I wouldn't say yesterday you be hungry. Yesterday you were hungry. Guys, all 5 of these words right here are all forms of the verb be. Now, would you agree with me that we use these words quite often? Now, here's why this matters. If you're looking at sentences and trying to find the subject and trying to find the verb to do subject-verb agreement, wouldn't it make sense that you're able to easily recognize the most commonly used verb in the English language? By the way, if I were to ask you what the second and third most commonly used verb in the English language, it wouldn't be run or talk or whatever else either. It would be 2 more state of being verbs. These are words that you need to know down here. Let me get them written and then I'll move my hand out of the way. Am, is, are, was, were, and I wrote those backwards, so y'all bear with me. Do, does, did, have, has, had. Now, these words right here, you need to be able to recognize them as verbs, okay? You need to be able to recognize them as verbs. Unless you name your son or daughter is or am or are, these words are always verbs. There's no other part of speech that they can be. They are always verbs. If you're doing subject-verb agreement, you need to be able to recognize them, okay? Give me a yep if you understand. Very good. Okay. Now, next thing I'm going to do is write down preposition. And then I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I hate the definition of a preposition. Okay, hold on. I got a question. Okay, I have a question. If it was like to do, would to also be part of the verb? Rebecca, what that's considered is the infinitive form of the verb. The word to can be used in 2 different ways in grammar. It can be used as a preposition or it can be used as the infinitive form of the verb. Now, if it is used like you using it right there, to do, that will never be part of the subject-verb agreement, okay? It can be a part of the sentence, but not That's just the infinitive form. The infinitive form does not change depending on the subject. That's the easiest way to say it. Okay. Now, and I'm glad you brought up to, and you actually gave me a segue to kind of, oh, you're welcome. You kind of gave me a way to talk about the infinitive form of to. I'm going to talk about the other form of it now, and that's preposition. Now, the definition of preposition is a word that links a noun to some other part of the sentence. Quite frankly, guys, I hate that definition. It makes no sense. It doesn't tell you anything. What I can tell you about a preposition is this. A preposition always begins a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase always ends with the object of the preposition, and the object of the preposition is always either a noun or a pronoun. Okay? Now, I'll get to what that means here in just a second. But I want you to understand or at least recognize these four words: in, of, at, and to. In, of, at, and to. Okay? Now, I call these the big four prepositions. Now, guys, there's like 80 something prepositions. I don't know all of them off the top of my head. I can recognize them in grammar, but that's a little bit much to ask you to recognize all of them as well or to remember them. I write these big four down right here because these are the ones that you will see most often. Make sense? Give me a yep if that makes sense. Now, I told y'all I like mnemonics, right? I like the kind of play on words that lets me remember stuff. Can y'all, in literature or in movies or whatever, can you tell me a creature that sucks the life out of things? Very good, Isaac. A vampire. In classic literature, another word for a vampire is the Nosferatu. Anybody ever heard of Nosferatu? Okay. If you're a big old comic book nerd like I am, then you've probably heard of Nosferatu. Oh, okay. Ellis, I'm not a big SpongeBob guy, so I definitely don't know it from SpongeBob. Now, here's the way that I remember my big four. Okay. My big four is basically the name of my prepositional vampire, Inavatu. In, of, at, and to. Inavatu. In, of, at, and to. Inavatu. You got me? Now, here's why it matters. And I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Go back up here and look at these 5 sentences. Okay? I'm going to start with this one. This will be easy. If I see the preposition, you see the preposition in there, right? And that's one of my big four. You ask yourself, in what? Well, and the answer to this is in the mornings. All of that information right there is preposition, prepositional phrase. I can get rid of all of it. I can get rid of all of it because I know my subject nor my verb will be found inside of a prepositional phrase. Okay? Same thing right here with of the students. I can get rid of it because my subject or verb will never be found inside of a prepositional phrase. That makes life a little bit easier when I'm trying to figure out my subject, my verb, and making them agree. Okay? Excuse me. We'll come back to that in just a second. I'm going to move on to something else real quick. Who's my brave soul in here that doesn't mind talking on a microphone? Jake, you talked with me a while ago. Will you be my guinea pig?
Sure.
Okay, Jake, repeat after me.
Okay.
Thur.
Dirt.
One more time. Thur.
Thir.
Okay, that's another mnemonic. I have certain words called indefinite pronouns. The thir, look on the left-hand side of the screen, stands for each, much, either, neither, another. Now, what's special about these particular words is they are indefinite pronouns that are always singular. Now, the reason I do thir is because if you walk around the school going thir, you're going to stay single.
That's a little bit close to home.
Jake, I appreciate you being my guinea pig, my man.
All right.
Jake, does that mean that you don't have a girlfriend right now?
No.
All right, then I'll leave you alone. I didn't mean to embarrass you. Jake, I'll find you a girlfriend. And crickets. Okay. So, guys, anyway, each, much, either, neither, another. These are always singular. Okay. The other indefinite pronouns that are always singular have one thing in common. They end with one body or thing. Someone, somebody, something. Everyone, everybody, everything. Anyone, anybody, anything. No one, nobody, nothing. Okay. If it ends with one body or thing, it is always singular. Okay. Now, here's why that matters. Let's go back up here. Look at this sentence again. Each of the students thinks he or she has the right stuff. Now, again, I scratch out my prepositional phrase because I don't need it. It will just get in my way. It sucks the life out of the sentence. In a vatu, right? Prepositional phrases are like vampires. They suck the life out of a sentence. Okay? Well, that leaves my subject to be each. My verb is think. Well, now I've got exactly what I want. I've got my simple subject and I've got my verb. So I've got two words to match up together. Now, here's the problem. Each think or each thinks, neither one of them necessarily sound better than the other. Give me a yep if you see where they kind of sound about the same. If they sound about the same, then I cannot trust my ears. What I can trust is the process. Okay? Now, each, thir. Is it always singular or is it always plural? Jake, help me out. Thir. Always singular or always plural?
I think I can like switch.
No. Let's go back. Let me go back down to the slide right here. Indefinite pronouns always singular. Each is always singular. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I'm going to try to make it make sense, Jake, and I'm going to quit picking on you. I promise I am, okay? So each is always singular. Now, y'all remember at the very beginning of the lesson, I told you that every singular subject takes a singular verb, and every plural subject takes a plural verb. That means that boy and girl and desk and stick all take singular verbs, right? Give me a yep if you understand that. Okay. I know each is singular as well. Now, I'm going to substitute for the word each. I'm going to substitute it with another singular noun that I am familiar with that will help my ears out. I'm going to substitute each with the word it. Now, if I have it, now it think or it thinks. It think or it thinks. Do you hear how easy that is once I substitute it with a word that I'm familiar with? Now, understand this when I start talking about substituting. I am not trying to get you to change the sentence around. All I'm trying to make it is to where you can tell which verb goes with it very easily. I'm trying to make it to where you can trust your ears. Okay? Give me a yep if that makes sense. We're going to spend some time dealing with the indefinite pronouns. And most of the indefinite pronouns, it will help me out if I will substitute either it or they, depending on whether or not it is singular or plural. I have to figure out if it's singular or plural before I substitute anything. Okay? Now, last thing we're going to do. Let me quit sharing real quick. Okay, my camera had stopped there for a second. There we go. Okay. Look at this sentence. I want you to write this sentence down on your scratch paper real quick, if you will. Write the whole sentence. Give me your favorite number inside of the, oh, Olivia, I have terrible handwriting. I have the worst handwriting of any language arts teacher you'll ever meet. Once you have it written down, type in your favorite number to let me know that you're done. Okay, now on this sentence, what I want you to do without writing anything down, I want you to guess which verb goes with it, takes or take. Picture, gauge picture. Okay. Hold on, don't say anything yet. Don't say anything yet. Now, let's go through the process. Let's eliminate the phrases. Do you see one of my Nosferatu, one of my vampire prepositions? Guys, y'all do me a favor. Don't get ahead of me yet, okay? If you see one of my prepositions, type it in. Type it in the chat. One of my big four. Come on, somebody other than Olivia, help me out. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Now, ask yourself of what? And once you ask yourself of what, scratch that information out. Because remember, I will never find my subject inside of a prepositional phrase. What did you scratch out? What did you scratch out? Of what? A little bit more, Rebecca. I mean, sorry, Olivia. Of what? Of the girl. Okay, of the girl. You know what? It would help if I write the darn sentence correctly. I meant to write of the girls. Okay? So you scratch out of the girls. What does that leave my subject to be? What is my subject in this sentence? Good. And now I just learned another there is always singular. So above and I underline my subject. Write an S above it for singular. If it is singular, I can replace it with another singular subject. What is singular, it or they? Now, here's what I'm left with, and here's where I want to get to. It takes or it take, which is the correct answer? Now, in all honesty, guys, most of you probably had takes from the very beginning, because this is not one that fools your ears. Okay? But doesn't it seem a whole lot simpler if I can get it down to it or they and then the verb choice? And that's the whole point of what I want you to understand is there's a process to go through that will get it down to where I want it to be for it to make sense to my ears. Okay? All right, so that's the grammar lesson for today. And by the way, guys, I do not expect you to be able to leave here today and do everything inside of subject verb agreement that I want you to be able to do. This is day one. Okay? And this is a long, drawn out process. It's the reason that we teach it every year. Okay? How many people learned something today? Does this make sense to you? Tomorrow, or actually Tuesday, I guess, we build off of this. Now, I'm going to stop here today. We could keep on going. There's all kind of new information that I haven't even touched yet, but I'm going to stop here because I don't want to overload your brain. I want to stop to where we're at a good point. Okay? So that being said, I'm going to stop my video, and the remainder of the class, the last little while that you're in here, what I want you to do is focus on what has not been done. Now, the only new thing that I added today was my fellow senators. Everybody has to do that. If you did not do the Ra creates the world and the ancient Greece one, then you have that to do. I also need to make sure that you know that there was a major test Wednesday and a quiz Wednesday that you needed to redo the quiz and you needed to take the big test. If you did not do that Wednesday, go back into Wednesday's work and do those as well. Those are real deal going to count in the grade book. They're already in the grade book. Y'all can check your grades inside of Schoology. So everybody got to do my fellow senators. A lot of y'all got to go back and do Ra and do ancient Greece. And even more of y'all still have to go back and make sure you take the major test and also do the Black Friday quiz. When you are finished with all of that, you are done for the day. You don't have to tell me bye. You don't have to ask if you can leave. You can just go. Okay? Any questions? Okay. I'm going to mute myself and be available to you when you have questions. Other than that, guys, if I don't have a chance later on, have a great weekend, okay?